radio.com. I will offer ideas to transform what you are thinking into conscious action. If you want to get big and live your life out loud, visit me at KnutSonSpeaks.com.
Are you ready to heal your mind, body, and soul?
You are listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin. To master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Once you walked in a forest of splendor in which everything you did and everything you thought was aligned. It is possible at this time to begin to return to the old knowledge. Intuitive healer and manifestor Julia Griffin is here to talk about this unique time in history when all sentient beings, animals, plants, trees, and the earth are intent on creating this change. The wolves awakened her to the most incredible light, which opened gifts and brought knowledge that she longs to share. You are creators, and you are born to be creators of beauty, possibility, and joy. Join Julia on a journey into a beautiful and magical world where amazing possibilities exist. Let us help open the door. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening with Julia Griffin starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin, and you're listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm so glad you're here, and I thank you for listening. So stay with us for the next hour, and let us help you experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. I'm just going to skip into this and say for a new state of mind, I have been working on a couple things. One of those is to feel peace when I feel chaos in the world. And we do that by just thinking about times that we have felt peaceful. Like, it's summer now. How does it feel when you're in a hammock? How does it feel when you take a nap and you wake up and you see flowers through your window? How does it feel when you're with someone who makes you feel more like you really are? So that is how I'm working with some of the chaos that's on the planet right now. And for those of you who are not familiar with me, I awakened with wolves. When I met a wolf, it talked to me just as people talk, and they taught me to read the energy of the heart. So what is the energy of the heart? It's that part of your inner self that speaks to you here. I would say it speaks with love, because sometimes it does. We feel a great love for the people in our life or for life itself. But more than that, it connects us with unconditional universal love. So when I met a wolf, it talked to me just as people talk. And they taught me to read the energy of the heart. I can intuitively hear plants, animals, and people. And I became an intuitive healer and a writer as a result. You can find me at onetrueself.com, onetrueself.com. So why do I call it One True Self? Because there are many different parts and sides of ourselves. Some of them are in contradiction. Some you're going to be really familiar with. Your inner child that helps us to create in the best, and in the worst scenario brings up times that were difficult or traumatic. And you have to work with both parts of that. We have an adult self, an adolescent self, the part of us that falls in love, the part of us that may love our business or what we do. And those are all really almost like distinct personalities that we move around in. But the true self is the part of us that gives us connection to a greater power, to the divine, that fills our lives with light. And that's something that anyone can feel at any time. And it seems to be becoming increasingly important as this period of time that the world is changing. So if we think about filling up with light, that's always going to be a higher vibration than how we usually live. I'm lucky enough to teach a lot of classes on this, on going into a higher place and feeling that energy. So when I'm in that energy, it's like all the worries go away and I feel happy. And for those of you who can feel light, just imagine yourself right now connected to a ray of light, a beautiful light that's coming down within you. And feel that. And feel that light filling you, taking you where you want to go. To a brighter life, a happier life, a life with more love, a life with more self-acceptance. So fill up with that energy and let it sustain you. As you fill up with the light, you start to feel your inner self. When the inner self engages, we're always connected to the universe, and that connection helps us to have a better life. Why? Because we all know this: when you feel better, when you're in love, when everything is in the flow, when your life is going the right way, opportunities come in. You meet people that you really like. Everything expands and broadens. So that's one of the reasons that we want to find out. The other thing is that in metaphysics, if you're connected to your inner self, you're connected to your heart. So if you're connected to your heart, you check, does this resonate with my heart? Does this resonate with who I really am? And when you get that yes, it means to move in that direction. It doesn't always mean that whatever you're visualizing or desiring or moving toward is going to happen right away. But there are opportunities. And when the opportunities come, you can step into that. And things like that change your life. So those would be my thoughts on how you can make a change today. So if you're working on a change today, start asking yourself, how does it feel when I'm in the flow? And I'll go over some of the things that put me in the flow, although certainly you'll have your own list. When you're in the flow, nature becomes more distinct. You're more aware of trees, flowers, beauty, and the beauty within other people. When you're connected to your inner self, you become more aware of the life force. So what happens when you're aware of the life force? You become more vital. Your body becomes stronger. You tend to know more. What is the best thing for me to do right now? So that's always a good question. What is the best thing for me to do right now? And it's going to change from day to day. So the more you listen, the better it is. The other thing that happens is that when you're connected to that inner self, and meditation helps with this a great deal, the presence that comes in is not the one that's anxious or tense or having a difficult time. It's the part of you that knows that you may not have the answer right now, but the bigger answers will come. You will find what you're looking for. And so you let yourself move in that river of energy, a river that takes you into a place where you know the answers are, even if you haven't floated downstream long enough in the river to get there. And like all rivers, even the river of flow, moves around. Sometimes you'll get there very quickly, and sometimes you will have to wait and float and let the answers flow in. So I have my guest here now, Celinne Da Costa, and we're going to go to break, and we'll be right back and talk about her book, The Burning Ground. Hey everyone, I'm very pleased to have our guest here, Celinne Da Costa. We're going to talk about her book, The New Burning Ground. The Burning Ground. It's a raw account of what it means to be cracked open and reshaped by something greater than the material world. So let me tell you about her. She's an author, speaker, and master coach who guides visionary leaders to live, lead, and express themselves with their soul's truth. Her latest book, The Burning Ground, One Woman's Journey to Reclaim Her Soul and Ignite Her Fire. Raised between Italy, Brazil, and the United States, she's a woman of many worlds. At 25, she left behind a promising corporate career to follow a deeper call, one that led her to travel across more than 70 countries, stay with strangers around the globe, and explore the depths of the human spirit. Today, Celine blends subconscious reprogramming, communication, storytelling, intuition training, and emotional mastery to help high-achieving professionals embody their most authentic and magnetic leadership. Her work has supported Fortune 150 executives, entrepreneurs, and change makers in over 60 countries, and her insights have been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, Business Insider, and her TEDx talk on the power of human connection. She now divides her time between the Mediterranean and South America, where she continues to write, coach, and explore what it means to come home to oneself. So welcome, Celine, and congratulations on your book. I think it's available today.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. I'm glad to be here. And it dropped yesterday.
Okay. So, new book, you can all go out and find it and read it. So, I know that in the beginning, I read all of your book and I liked it very much. You experienced a profound shift when you realized that your life didn't fit and you had to open to the cosmos or the universe. So, tell us about that.
Yeah, of course. So the book begins in a very quintessential part of the hero's journey, which is really the part where we are being um, called to something greater on a soul level, and then there's the refusal of that call. And that's what it looked like for me in my own specific story, which I talk about in The Burning Ground. There was just this moment of feeling like my life was too tight. This feeling that I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not living the kind of life that I want to live. I don't even know what kind of life that I want to live. I'm exhausted. I'm emotionally exhausted. I'm burned out. I am physically exhausted, not getting enough sleep, not getting enough water, like all the things. And, life, God, source, universe started to throw these curveballs at me that looked many different kinds of way, from a promotion I thought that I was going to get to a breakup that I didn't think was going to happen to having my rent skyrocket and then knowing that I had to move out of my tiny little apartment in New York City. And all of these basically breaks in the fabric of what I thought was supposed to be my life shook me awake to more than a realization, a deeper inquiry that maybe what the way I was living was not the only way to live, and could there be something greater to life than what I was seeing? And this inquiry, it took over me. I became
Well, I
obsessed.
understand that you missed the introduction. I met real live wolves and I could hear what they were thinking, just the same way we're talking now.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
my heart opened from that, and I began to hear animals, plants, and people, and still do. So mine just cracked open all at once. It wasn't any kind of journey. It
Mm.
was just like you've gone from point A to point C.
Yep.
Now
Yeah.
stick yourself back together.
Yeah. And how does one even do that? I didn't know. I didn't know how to stick myself back together. And I guess that's what we call, when we talk about the dark night of the soul, or like these terms of people feeling very lost and confused in their own awakening. That was definitely me. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't even know that what a soul awake, like what is a soul, what is spirit, what is a dark night of the what, like none of that or lexicon was in my awareness. And so it was this process of like I knew And you can only connect the dots backwards. Like looking backwards, I know now that that was my intuition speaking to me. That was the voice within saying, hey, you need to go here. Hey, like it was guidance.
Right.
Back then, I just thought it was a crazy voice that was telling me to do crazy things. And even though I was like, this logically makes no sense and it's completely unreasonable for me to be thinking this way, something deeper inside of me just knew that if
Right.
I would follow that voice, I would be okay. And there's nothing about my mind and like my personality self that was on board. It was a
No,
very
because it
traumatic.
completely destroys your
Yeah,
personal perception and
exactly.
your external life.
Yep, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
And
mean, I was lucky because, sometimes, Julia, I've volleyed back and forth with this with my publisher, my editor, because this whole story happened when I was 25 years old. And, we had to be really, really wary with the marketing as well, because it's like, sometimes it's like, oh, somebody who's in her 50s or 60s and like going like really going through like a huge divorce with kids and like a mortgage to pay and like a huge job that like is like a woman having her spiritual awakening in the middle of all of the things with all of the responsibilities, might think, oh, but you were only 25 years old. But the reason why I wrote this is because I was only 25 years old, that I was able to do this so freaking messy without, thankfully, with a completely different like situation. But since then, like that framework was the framework that arrived to me, that since then, in so many different stages of my life and also coaching women in all different stages of their lives, it works and it works and like it doesn't really matter what age or what stage. The principles are the freaking same. And so what used to be something that I was like, oh, I feel self-conscious about this, maybe that's why it took me 10 years to get this out, has now become yeah, if that version of me can do it, you, the conscious, much more aware, much more research, freaking powerful woman that you are, you can definitely do it.
yeah,
You know?
because I mean, awakening is awakening. It doesn't matter how old you are or what
Yeah,
happens. Your life's just shot at that point and you've got to redo it.
exactly. Exactly. Hmm.
I don't think it matters if you're 25 and alone or, 45 and you have a zillion responsibilities. It doesn't matter. You can't put yourself back together without building a new life.
Yeah. Well, that's the point. You're
Yeah.
literally like what you're saying is literally the point, which is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And so that's what in my creation of this work and the body of work that has developed in the last 10 years since, me writing the first word of this book, has been to really illustrate that it doesn't matter, but what matters, it doesn't matter how old you are. It's never too late. It's never too early. But what does matter is who you choose to be when that moment comes. And do you have the tools? Do you have the resources? Do you have a map, something, a guide? I think about it like, young women, like girls who start to menstruate. And if nobody ever told them this was coming, and even if it does come, nobody ever resourced them in a way of doing that in a way that actually educates them about their body and helps them navigate the cycles of their moon, then it's going to be really uncomfortable and really messy because there's no way to be seen or supported in that. And so I really wanted to create a companion, a guide, like a very entertaining story. Like if you and I were sitting around the fireplace and I was telling you a very funny, entertaining, crazy story, which is what this is, but embedded with lessons and a map to be able to navigate these really challenging life transitions more gracefully.
I thought it was so interesting that you had not been close to your father and yet he connected you to Roberto, who
Yeah.
really opened you up and told you what direction to go in.
Yeah, yeah. I really love that you read the book because some people read it and some people don't. And it's so much more interesting when people like it's such a
Yeah, I
richer
really read it.
conversation. Yeah, you really did. And yeah, isn't it interesting how and that's this, I mean, again, this book is a book about human connection as well, right? And trusting, and forgiving and opening our hearts to even things that were really traumatic and hard. And that's why, I almost thought about cutting that whole piece around the whole storyline with my father out. And then I realized ultimately it was very important. For those of you who are not read my book, I met my biological father when I was 14 years old, and it was a very difficult, grueling period for that version of me. And the father that I was so alienated, I felt so alienated and strange by, ended up being the one who introduced me to my very first spiritual
I
teacher that
know. I thought of
got me on the
karma,
path.
karma
Isn't that
and
funny?
dharma. He
Yeah,
wasn't the person you wanted, but he had
the one
obviously
I needed.
decided before you even came in that he was going to play a role in your awakening.
And I would have never like if I'm sure that if I mean I don't know, but if I had grown up with my father, if I didn't have the relationship that I had with him, would I have really even connected with Roberta? Would I even have felt just the way that it worked was that Roberta was like the contrast of what my father wasn't at the time to me in that level of perception of reality. And
Right.
because of his embodiment and because of his wisdom, I was able to trust a man for the first time.
And just he read runes for, she threw runes and he read them for her before she began her journey. And it's so beautiful what he had to say.
Yeah, yeah. You want to hear something really special, Julia?
Sure.
And this is one of the things I really love about this book, is that it, so much of the original dialogue that happened is still preserved, and a lot of the dialogue of him explaining the things to me was actually pulled directly from the journal that I
Mhm.
had that day. He was saying these things to me in Italian, and I wrote them down. And so a lot of what you wrote, other than the ums and the editing for clarity,
Right.
is what he said. What he said is what he said.
Hmm.
And it took me years to unpack what he said to me and understand the way that this man could actually see into the future.
Right.
And I wouldn't, and one of the things that's really delightful, I love about this book is you watch me encounter an astrologer for the very first time in my life. You
Right.
watch me have Roberto read my runes. You watch me encounter a healer in Jakarta for the first time. And I don't like, I don't know what energy, like, I don't know what these people are doing, but there's something about what they're doing, the accuracy of which they're doing it, that opened my
Right.
heart and opened my spirit to actually realizing that there was more than what we could perceive with the five senses.
Yes, I understand because that was one of the reasons that I became so involved with wolves was the accuracy. They would tell me something was going to happen in a week, it would, or in a year, and it would, and they were never wrong. So yeah, that really instills some faith in it. Plus the feeling of it, like wow, 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 this is real.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. I love it reminds me, your story reminds me of this is not in the book, but a conversation that I had with an indigenous woman a few years back in Colombia while I was, because the official journey was a 9 month journey just so I could have a beginning, middle of the end. But I actually kept doing it. I ended up staying in the homes of hundreds, not 70, hundreds of people in the last decade. And I was with an indigenous woman and she was sharing with me because we were having a session and she was saying there's a bird that came in and the bird said this and this and that. I'm like, how do you She's like, well, it told me, the bird told me. And then she went on to tell me, for example, that when she walks in the jungle, she's got such a clear connection with the birds that the bird will sing a certain song if there's a snake nearby. So it will alert the woman. She will know if there's a predator because the of the way the bird sings the
That's
song.
absolutely true. I grew up on a
Oh,
big farm and I couldn't play in the woods by myself until I learned how to talk to the crows. My
wow.
father wouldn't let me go in until I learned their language. And then once you learn their language, they fly along with you. And if there's any danger, they'll all congregate and do a warning call.
Wow. I love
Uh,
that. Yeah, I really resonate with you specifically saying a crow, because when I was a child, there was a little crow, and we used to call him for fun, Celino, like a boy Celine, and he would come, and I would play in the yard, and it was the same crow, and he would always come. So much so
right.
that we had a name for him. But
Hmm.
that's really interesting. I didn't make that connection until now.
Yeah. I mean, so all of nature is always talking to us. It just
Always.
somewhere along the way we turn it off. Now,
Yeah,
one of the things I really enjoyed about your book is you have such beautiful descriptions of some of the places you visited that I
yeah.
literally felt as though I was there. And I thought when I was reading it, you must have had such a been so in your heart or so connected to the universe to be able to go back and describe it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first and foremost, some of it I was describing in real time, right? So I didn't even have
Right.
to like go back and summon the memory because it was moving through me and I just would take my phone
Hmm.
and I would just like type, like just get it out. So I could remember the vividry of the details. But yeah, yes, my heart was open. And this is actually fun story. I've actually not told this on any podcast that I've been on where I've talked about this book. So you're going to be the first. When I started to travel, I had a blog called The Nomad's Oasis. And that's actually how I started my social media presence and my brand, started because of this blog. And I went to Cambodia. And if you remember the first chapter, an author found my blog and then he sent me to Cambodia, which set
Right.
off this entire event. So the blog that I would write was I would go to certain places in the world and I would see them and feel them as people. So I would write an article about Cartagena, Colombia, and it was this, I would see him as this like man in a white suit and a fedora hat, and he's like mysterious and he's smoking and he's got a mustache and he's just like inviting you, enticing you to dance. And I would just see like personas behind cities and behind places. And so what you're likely picking up on is when I'm traveling, I'm not going to taste the food or to go see the Eiffel Tower or whatever the thing is, but I'm actually going because it feels like there's something about that place on the planet that wants to talk to me like a person would.
Right.
And so, descriptions maybe you found in Kathmandu is like, it was like Nepal's soul was transmitting to me who it was. And I was putting words into how I understood its, like if I was interviewing it and it was telling me its story, that's how I felt when I was writing it. And that's why it feels so vivid because the connection was really visceral.
That's what I thought. I kept thinking that I've lived in the mountains for a long time, but it took a good while before I could hear and feel what they were saying, and it was unlike anything else I've ever experienced.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you have to make friends with the geography of a place.
Yes, but I do. But
Hmm.
Julia, I do, and I love that you said that. You really nailed it. I have special relationships, like in Austin. I have the land. I don't even care about the hot coffee shop and the whatever. There's the two keepers of the land, wisdom keepers that are not in this timeline, that I've really connected to, and they show me where to go in the land of Austin. They help me find the most sacred places in this beautiful land. I have a connection to America, like the land, not the government, but it's like there's these places and where I go and I just feel. They tell me Valencia, where I am right now. She summoned me here, and she's teaching me what I need to learn, what I need to embody that she carries, the medicine she carries for me. So I
Right.
do have really special relationship with different lands and they talk to me and then they show me the people that I need to talk to that
Hmm.
also teach me how to be in communion with the land.
Right. Okay, so we have to go to break now. We'll be back in just a minute or two. I'm here with Celinne Da Costa, and she's telling us about her journey of awakening, which took her all around the world. And we'll be right back and talk about it more. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Gwenem Carsley, transformational body, sex, and soul coach. This is not a show just about sex. This is a show about being raw, real, and awake inside the skin you're in. This is about the mess and magnificence of being human through the gateways of intimacy, eros, and what we rarely tell. It's a reckoning with the real, where breath meets bone, where truth undresses us and gasps seep through the cracks. We're not here to behave. We're here to feel, to experience, to grow and expand, not at the convenience of others. It's for the parts of you that have been silenced, ache, grieve, pulse, remember, and forget. We strip it all back. The shame, the scripts, the performative sex and performative self. We speak the unspoken. We get intimate, not just with bodies, but with truth, gritty and soul-bearing. We explore what it means to live inside, knowing we are going to die, not as someone you were told to be, but as who you really are beneath it all. Imperfect, hungry, sacred, messy, in skin, in soul. Join me at Skin and Soul, Fridays at 10 a.m. PST on Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you struggling with unresolved emotions or recurring patterns? Tune into Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance with me, Shannon O'Flaherty, on Transformation Talk Radio. On the second Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, we'll explore your own birth experiences and consider how they might be affecting your current life patterns to start your journey towards self-discovery and healing. For more information, visit shannonbtb.com. That's shannonbtb.com.
Hi, I'm Gwenam Carsley, transformational body, sex, and soul coach. This is not a show just about sex. This is a show about being raw, real, and awake inside the skin you're in. This is about the mess and magnificence of being human through the gateways of intimacy, eros, and what we rarely tell. It's a reckoning with the real, where breath meets bone, where truth undresses us and gasps seep through the cracks. We're not here to behave. We're here to feel, to experience, to grow and expand, not at the convenience of others. It's for the parts of you that have been silenced.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Celinne Da Costa, and she's talking about the burning ground, the energy that caused her to spend 9 months visiting a number of countries, connecting with the universe. And now she's going to share some of the parts of her awakening, her journey, and how you can use that. Out of the very first part of this, I think connection is such a big deal because connection is what your intuition asks you to make. What if I had said to myself, because it's true, I have a lifelong terrible fear of wolves. Great, they talked, I'm staying home now. But I didn't. I connected with them and I met a lot of people that way. And then when I began on my internal work, I met a lot of people who are more like me. And so that's part of the journey. But what we were talking about before is one of her skills is to connect with geographical energy. And then you seem to find people that match that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And this is about, the way that I wrote my story, Julia, was with the intention is how can I share my story, but how do I empty myself out of the story in a way that my story becomes a vessel that anyone can come on the boat with me and take a ride, and we can go on a ride of what it actually looks like and feels like to go on a journey to reconnect back to self, to other, as well as to God, source, universe, life, however, insert your preferred name. And so, when we even look at one of the greatest things that readers, when they're reading my book, they have said to me is, Celine, I could have been you. I could have been there. I could have been me. I could have just changed some of the details, and that's my story. So many women that I've heard, like, I quit my job and I travel all over the world and I was looking for greater meaning in my life. And so, one layer of the story is this is Celinne Da Costa's amazing story of how I went from, being in corporate to traveling the world and then creating my dream life and all the things that are me involved, which is cool and inspiring. But there's actually a deeper layer here, which is my invitation to you and is the gift that I believe this book has for anyone who's reading it, which is I come in and I invite you into this hero's journey of what it actually looks like to go through one of your many awakenings. My first one was this one was like the story of the freaking messy one. Can't get any uglier, messier, and like discombobulated than this because I didn't have any of the tools. And what it actually takes to go through the process of going through that messy journey, awakening, reckoning with yourself, looking at you're saying you were afraid of wolves. Like I was afraid of freaking people. I was afraid of humans. I thought they were all out to get me. I thought it was only a matter of time before they would take advantage of me. So I had to reckon with one of my greatest fears of my life to really be able to go through the burning ground, which is the title of the book, and come out on the other side with access to my gifts, which the book, talks about all the miraculous ways that without trying, I was shown, oh my God, I'm really good at this. I'm really gifted at coaching. I have an ability to connect with people. Like I have an ability to tell stories. I had no idea I had those abilities. They came online because I confronted myself and I went on the other side. And then on the other side of that, of actually reclaiming your gifts, is coming back to the village with the bounty and being able to share it with others, which is, I did that through telling this book, but you can do it in so many ways, whether it's starting that retreat center you've been dreaming about, whether it's just being at home and being a present parent, whatever your journey is asking you to do. And so, this piece around connection is if we understand that we are all connected to something so much greater than ourselves, and the only thing that would disconnect us is us thinking that we're disconnected. It starts to really shift things because if we can assume and just operate on the understanding and specifically understanding that we're all connected, all of us to each other. We're connected to each other. We're connected to the land. We're connected to
Even
our source
science
purpose.
says that.
Oh, really?
Every single cell has light in it.
Yeah.
The things that we see, like right now, looking at a hand, we can only see it because it's vibrating so slowly.
Yeah.
If we speeded up the vibrations, it would be pure light. And light is in everyone. It may not be dominant, but the more your light lights up, the more you're going to meet people who do have light and want more light and understanding.
It's that resonance principle. Yeah. So that's my, with this book, it's about demonstrating what that actually looks like in practice. And then also giving you an opportunity, in each of these, there's 4 parts to the book, and I finish each part and then we do like a little commercial break, like this radio. But the commercial break is actually soul inquiry prompts. I have these questions for you to ask yourself and access your own wisdom of like, what is it about this stage of my life that I need to look deeper into? So the idea is, how do we use each other's stories to learn as a mirror for us to learn more about ourselves, to reclaim pieces of ourselves, like lock and key, and how to use the story for you to remember that you are also all connected, that you also have something greater that's calling
Something
you.
that I think is really interesting, and I would like to change it, particularly while we're talking. If you think about the past, it's called his story, history.
Yeah, history. Yeah.
It's time for some her stories.
I love that. Yeah, her stories. Yeah,
Because
that's
it's all a story. I mean, a lot of these things, you go back and research them. Or I talked to a lot of older people when I was a little girl, and I realized that what was in history books was so different from what really happened.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a story.
But then look at it this way. That's the story, the history, right? And then everyone who reads and is indoctrinated by that story now is going to carry the belief systems and patterns that are embedded in that story. And that is what perpetuates the history, right? And we keep repeating the patterns. We keep thinking that it's okay, to engage in these ways, that this is what a winner looks like, that this is how things should be, insert an entire podcast episode about colonization. So, but the thing is that the opposite is just like anything, like the poison is the medicine. And this is part of like what my mission and what I stand for when it comes to rewriting a new history for humanity, or a new story is actually the better word for humanity. I don't say that with grandiosity. I really believe that it's possible that when we start to become more conscious of aware of the story we're telling now and we're telling into the future, then we actually have the ability to create a new story. And the same thing happens with our story, Julia. Like there's 1,000 different ways I could have written this book, and there's an entire version in this book that exists in another timeline that I've let go of, where it was just a whole story about how I've been
Would you
victimized
put it
and
in
hurt.
your left hand so they can see the cover?
Yeah, here we
Yeah,
go.
there we
So
go.
there's a whole, I cut out 40,000 words from this book because it was all history that you did not need to know about me. And what I left inside was the story that gave me my power back and gave you the opportunity to see yourself within that power. At least I did the best I could with my level of consciousness now. Yeah.
And I think too, at the point in Hawaii when you had had enough of a man and you had boundaries about it and you left, the interesting thing to me was that was when you were able to really help another couple.
Oh, wow. I didn't
Because
even
see,
put two and two
that's part
together.
of awakening is having boundaries where you didn't have them anymore. That's part of the new story.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I didn't actually, that's an incredible connection that you just made that I didn't even make in my own book. And I love this, Julia, because this piece around, the story, obviously, the book ends 9 months after it left off. But anyone who follows my body of work, 10 years later will know that I have had such a beautiful healing experience when it comes to the masculine. And if we fast forward today, like my dad is one of my best friends, we have an incredible relationship, and he is an example to my partners on how to treat me like a queen. But you read that chapter 3 and you're like, there's no way, right? And that's why this book is also such a testament of the way that the work works and the way that we can change our stories. Because I look at my life now and I look at my life back then, and there's 10 years that have passed, and I'm like, holy moly, it is night and day. I have created so much, like everything that I needed, I want, and everything I want, I need. It's the relationship that I have with my life today. And when people ask me, how did I do it? I swear to you, like the freaking codes are all in here. And I could take one page and do an entire workshop about that one topic. But this is how I did it, by doing it the first time and continuing to refine the map and the process as I went along and went through many burning grounds over and over and over and over again.
And it is an interesting thing too. You did discover that going to a different place, still you have the same problems.
Yeah. That whole quote, the quote that I see so many times, wherever you go, there you are. I thought it
Yeah.
was cute and witty. And then I think you'll start to get it when you get really pissed and frustrated. Like I got so like, oh fuck, wherever we are, there we are. And
Yes.
when I got it, I could finally do something about it to realize that there's no escaping. You are where you are. It's all you.
Yeah.
All you, baby.
Yeah. I know. I had this amazing dream that I had. I was in Arizona and I had parents who were tennis coaches and they were very wealthy and I had everything I ever wanted. They were easygoing. I could do whatever I wanted to do. And I'm driving around this car and I thought, I can't believe it. I still have the same problems. I created a whole different life and they're still here. And I woke up and
Mhm.
thought, okay, that's just how that is.
Yeah. Yep. 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 It's the game.
Hmm.
And if we do it consciously, we stop looping and we start ascending, which is kind of
Hmm.
the name of the game here. Is how do we, remember I was talking to somebody and it was an interview. It was like, oh, it's your only burning ground. I'm like, no, no, no. I didn't. It wasn't like, hey guys, I did it. I'm done. I'm good. I wrote this because I wanted to deliver a very raw, authentic, behind the scenes, I'm not cleaning anything up account of how like freaking messy it is the first time. But trust me when I say, then there was another one, and then there was another one, and then there was another one. But I've been through enough of these rounds, and not only that, I've facilitated people's being through these rounds. Thankfully, I haven't had to go through this thousands of times, but the collective archive, the archive that I have is thousands of stories of this happening, only to realize that even though it doesn't get less comfortable, it does get more graceful and connected as
I would
we.
say you don't go as deeply into your patterns when they come around. That's like the first big change. You know it's
Yeah.
happening again, but you're not 100% in it.
Yeah. And you change your relationship to it happening too.
Yeah.
It's less about like, oh, this thing again. And it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
hello there. Here we are again.
Yes.
Here we go.
Time to
All
have new
right, I'm gonna call my
perceptions.
friend. I'm gonna
Yeah.
journal. Got it. Like it's a different. way of relating to something that maybe previously might have felt like the end of the world, or something that would put your nervous system out of commission for a long
Right.
time.
And then we wanted to talk about loneliness because that's something that goes away as you do this work.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes away, if you know the secret, I would love to have it. I'm not going to stand here and say that it does for me.
Oh, it's the mystery
Um,
of one.
the
Either
mystery. I love the way you said that. That completely made it so much
because it's
one
one,
description.
you're
Yeah.
alone. No one understands you're by yourself. None of
Oh,
your friends are answering the phone. The other one is there's only one beautiful unified force in the universe. And if
wow.
I let that come in, I cannot possibly be alone.
You know, the other day someone had asked me a question about my relationship to the unknown. And I remember I had the microphone and I wasn't thinking. And the first thing it was so visceral that people in the room were like, "Oh my God." And I was like, "Oh my God, that was not mine." And I said, how do I cope with the mystery? And I said, mystery as lover. Mystery as lover. I was like, "What?" And then obviously, as I continue to open up that transmission, the words that started to come out for me were like, okay, when we relate to the mystery as a lover, then it begins to feel like it's like just a completely different texture. The mysteries and the ways that you're being teased, and like you don't really know what's going on. It becomes a little kinky. But now that I pair that with what you just said about the oneness, what does it say it again? Oneness is mystery. Say that
Okay.
key word.
All right. One is you're alone. The other definition of one is there's this one all encompassing universal force that wants to be with you, that wants
Yeah.
to love you, that wants to make you feel wonderful. And I've noticed that when I open up to that, all of a sudden my phone won't stop ringing.
Yeah, yeah. So the what I love about it is that it's a paradox in it, and
Hmm.
it fits, as in like it's
Yeah.
mystery is lover, but mystery of one.
Yeah.
So
And it
then
is
it
one of the
comes
first
back to those,
mysteries.
yeah, it's the Tantra teachings that we've been taught for thousands of years, which is it's us. We are, that's it. The lover is you, but oh my God, the existential angst when the ego gets involved of thinking it's only you this whole
And
time.
nobody will help me.
Yeah, nobody will help me because it's just freaking me.
Right.
Yet I am the lover. What do we do
Hmm.
here?
But then it comes in and you wonder, what was I thinking?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I actually wrote an article the other day. I haven't published it. I think its title is like, is it lonely in here? Is it just me? And the premise of this article was that we are having a pandemic in terms of like the loneliness, but is it that the issue is the loneliness, or is it that the issue is the way that we're coping, or actually more specifically, the inability to cope with that loneliness and what we do as a result of not wanting to feel that void? That is the more
Great
societal
question.
problem, because is it really, it's not actually the loneliness. And so I actually wrote an entire article about this that really reminds me of it's this conversation that we're having.
Yeah. But so the more you do this kind of meditation, I think I should say, the more that feeling of being alone subsides.
Mm-hmm. Till you forget. And then you,
Until you forget. That's what I was
yeah,
going to say.
but
We
it's
all
easier. I
forget
think
all of it.
it's a little less of a long ass haul to remember. I think that's the point. The
Hmm.
point of the repetition and the practice is you forget, but it's not such an argument to remember. It's like, where'd
Right.
you get the keys? No, no, I'm pretty sure you have the keys. It's more like, oh, that's silly me. I put them in the kitchen counter again, didn't I? Yes, yes, I did. Okay,
Right.
I remember. Thank you very much. Moving on.
Yeah.
Here's the keys.
Well, don't you have some special gifts for people who buy your book right now
Oh,
while you're
oh,
on
I do.
pre-order?
Yes, 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 yes. So we're currently in the window of pre-order through June 2nd. So for those of you who go ahead and purchase my book before June 2nd on theburningground.com, you are going to be getting a few special gifts. So you're actually going to be getting over $200 of bonuses. One of them being an incredible guided meditation that I actually recorded for my private clients, who were their biggest friction was, but Celine, I don't hear the voice. Like I'm trying to talk to my intuition, but I can't hear this voice. And so I actually created a really potent guided meditation that supports you with coming back into that silence, hearing the voice of soul, and not only that, to really build up the neural pathways so that you don't have to just be in a meditation in order to hear it. But once you do it once, twice, 3, 20, 30 times, you start being at a coffee shop and being like, oh, there's the voice. I hear you.
Mhm.
So that's one of the greatest gifts that come complimentary to this book when you do pre-order. Another one for those of you who love to nerd out on the themes of the book is I actually have a reader's guide that goes deeper into the themes of the book. And I've also gone ahead and pulled out the soul inquiry prompts for you. So if you want to like start journaling on these deeper questions and actually have those prompts ready, those will be there for you. There's also a little book, an ebook of quotes. So some of my favorite quotes from this book. It's kind of like a little oracle deck where you open it up and you just see a quote and you're like, oh, that's what I needed to hear today. So that comes with it as well. So those are a few of the lovely things that come when you pre-order the book, all included with the book.
Sounds great. So, anything else you want to share with our readers as we approach the end?
Yes, I have an ask that, should you purchase the book and you're like, even getting value from just this conversation in and of itself, it would be so appreciated and so supportive if you could go on Amazon. And again, should you love the book, should you love this conversation and what you're seeing, to leave a 5-star review and share what your thoughts are, because that's what helps this book get seen, and get seen by the algorithm and get in front of more people is a review. So I would really love to receive that from you.
A positive response from the collective.
Amazing. Affirmative.
Yeah, I enjoyed reading this so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for reading it. It's such a joy when I know that somebody did that and did it thoroughly.
Yeah, I read all of it. I really had fun reading it.
Yeah.
And I really liked how different the people were from place to place, but how much the same they were too in the heart.
I know. You got it.
Yeah.
You really got the codes.
Yeah.
You really got the codes. That was my experience. Just people, and this is what I fell in love with humanity because of this, Julia. And as you know from reading the beginning, I was not destined, or not destined. I was not fated. I was destined to fall in love with humanity, but not fated to. And this experience completely opened my heart to humans and just our potential and what we're capable of and who we can be when we actually show up for each other with more love, all those spiritual teachings, all this, that stuff is true. It makes sense. Like Jesus had a really good point. So, and all of them, the rest as well,
all the
Jesus
teachers,
and company. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, because it really, hearing your experience of the book reminds me of why I wrote it. So,
good. That's the best thing of all.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being with us. You want to share your website really quickly?
Of course. So for those of you who would like to connect with me beyond the book, I invite you to come and visit my website. It's www.CelineDaCosta.com. And there you will find more about my work, my offerings, how to work with me either privately or in group settings. You will also find some incredible free trainings that I give around this work, and talks that I give around storytelling, communication, and authentic leadership presence. So if you want to go deeper into this rabbit hole, as well as my podcast, It's Not What You Think, come. I invite you to come into my world and come play.
Sounds great. So you can find me at trueself.com. And I wish you all a wonderful week. Take care.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin, to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Join us next time as Julia takes us deeper into the memory of the moments of light where transcendence and enlightenment emerge. The memory of the jewel of consciousness is always lived within you. To tap into waves of energy and create huge changes by imagining the beauty of the vision and desires that are hidden in the heart. Learn to find your way back to nature, beauty, and your own heart, which holds the secrets of your existence and future. To discover more about Julia's adventures, animal communication, and the teachings she brings to every show, visit onetrueself.com. That's onetrueself.com. That's ONE, True Self.